Hey, everybody. It's the A to Z Podcast. Ice up. Zach Jackson, Andre Knott, A to Z Podcast.com, Facebook.com/A to Z Podcast. I know some of you had bet against it, and I don't blame you for it, but I survived New Orleans. Andre, good morning.
I bet against it. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I bet against it. I'm glad your ass didn't balloon up to 500 pounds and wasn't able to get on a flight. But it's amazing. You made it back from New Orleans, and Josh Gordon didn't make it back to Berea. I'm sure we could have bet that somewhere, somehow.
Well,
I'm just gonna go. I'm just gonna go right at just because, like, I know I've got tweets about it already, and everybody has their opinions about it. I hope, in the grandest of grand ways, that Josh Gordon has the best life he ever could possibly have. But good riddance for the Cleveland Browns. To the fans that continue to champion and campaign for his existence to be in an orange helmet, God bless you. And I don't mean in the Jarvis Landry way. In 6 seasons, he never was a winner. Most of his career, he's never been a winner as a football player. I know it's a difficult conversation for some to have because some people get so caught up in his off-field issues, and we always cautiously step around who and what he is because of the issues he has. And I would never wish bad upon those, but I would never run a $2 billion business and depend upon him. If you've ever heard any statements that I've ever made about him, I'm pretty sure you already know that. So I don't have to go on all podcasts about it. I just want to get it out of the way. Good riddance. Whatever happens to him in New England, that's great. And it shouldn't have. And for all you radio hosts out there, because I know you all listen, your favorite radio talk show host listens to this podcast because they're probably to make sure I don't kill them, but also because there's entertainment and intelligence in this box that we put together. But if he goes to New England and becomes Randy Moss, congrats. The chances are, and if you're in Vegas and you're a betting man, that's not going to happen. I tweeted it yesterday. His story has always been can't run the right routes, can't learn the offense, can't show up on time. Those 3 things will have his ass cut quicker than Zach cut from a line and doing aerobics. It ain't going to happen. So we'll see. And look, the Patriots are desperate right now. They are smarter than most teams. If I'm Bill Belichick, I give him 3 routes to learn. And you just give him those 3 routes and you use him as a part-time player. I don't know if they have that situation set up because of their injury setup. I don't really care. I love how you guys all get caught up in it. I don't care what he does. And as the Cleveland Browns, I'm going to give them a fucking hand. Oh, yeah, we cuss sometimes on this podcast. Because, goddammit, it was time to grow up and be a real organization and have some freaking respect for yourselves. There is no way that you could grow as an organization continually playing the Josh Gordon limbo game of, is he telling the truth? Is he going to show up? Is he going to be a good boy? Is he going to do what he told us to say? For those that still love Josh Gordon and still want him, you are the guy that goes to the strip club and falls in love, and all you get is blue balls. Sorry, Miss Jackson. I am for real. He's blue balls. And I ain't had those in a long time. I'm old. I don't even know if I'm just, it's just realistic.
This is even better than I anticipated. We'll see you next week on the A to Z Podcast.
He is. You can't, and as Too Short once told us, Miss Jackson, I love you, but I just got to keep it real on this podcast. Too Short told us a long time ago, you can't turn a hoe into a housewife. You guys figure that out how you want to figure it out. He ain't a part of the plan. And for all you idiots out there that keep saying, oh, he played the Browns to get traded to New England. Do you really think he's smart enough and can angle and be good enough to do that? He's played the Browns for 6 years. He ain't just start yesterday. He ain't start when he decided to cut a promotional shoot on Friday night. And the Browns, by the way, had to know about this because it was in the facility. See, there's a lot of truths and falses that are out there, and we'll never get all the truths. Well, yeah, we will. It'll all come out. But be careful of who you listen to and who you read, whose Twitter feeds you pay attention to, and whose $8.50 a month you got to pay attention to, because a lot of people really don't know what the fuck they're talking about. They get bits and pieces, but they don't know. For him to do a promotional shoot in Berea, in that facility, the Browns had to okay it. Nothing happens in an NFL facility without the team okaying it. So, showing up late, this is who he's been, people.
Well,
this is who he is.
Let's let you catch your breath. Too Short. Oh, my God. That was so good. And let's pick up right there. Let's pick up right there as we talk the transition. And I'm glad, even though I had something else in mind, I'm glad you got to this because we're going to get out of the way. It was inevitable. This was coming, right? The Browns had to do this sooner or later. It was later, but at least it's over, right?
And let me say this before you go. The Browns may be in a good place. They really might be. And forget the Josh Gordon stuff. They played a good football game. They played 2 good football games. If you consider who the Cleveland Browns are, you haven't heard me say that in almost a decade. Go ahead.
Because they haven't done it. It's not about what we say and think. It's about what's out there, right? We analyze things. A lot of times we're right. We're not always right. But damn sure we've been almost always right about them, right? And going back, we've said you're not going to win with this guy. This is not going to have a happy ending. We don't know about his life. We don't know what's true and not. We don't know the extent of his demons. But football-wise, this was never going to be a happy ending. It was never worth the hassle, even when it almost was, right? Even when it was presented like, well, he's worth the shot, right? Because
absolutely,
Housewives, Real Housewives of Berea. Jesus. Okay.
It is.
So, it's on record now as to what went on Friday night, and it seemed like the latest in many dumbass decisions and questionable decision making, and him being enabled and not having priorities. But most importantly, as we move forward,
and the people around him,
who have always been the common denominator,
give him terrible advice.
Yeah. There's a real strong percentage of Josh Gordon never had a chance in life and is lucky to be alive, right? But at some point you have to surround yourself with better people because you are who you hang with. Yes. Okay, so to go to Saturday morning, Jerry, regardless of what happened Friday night, right? And baseless speculation out the window. We don't want to hear it. Don't need to go back over it. When you are late, okay, now he plays for the New England Patriots. So when you are late the first time with the New England Patriots, you're sent home. I don't care if you're Randy Moss, if you're Tom Brady, if you're a McCourty brother, you're sent home. If you are late with the Patriots the second time, your ass is cut. Okay, and even if it's a winter storm, yes,
even if it's a 12 inches of snow come down, if you're late, Bill Belichick sends your ass home or cuts you. He's done it before.
Okay, so to sum up the Josh Gordon story, without the 9 different head coaches and GMs that stuck with him, right? Without the 9 different suspensions, without the multitude of issues, controllable and uncontrollable, and depressing as hell, honestly, that followed him. He had been late for the Browns between 10 and 100 times, right? And that's not a literal number as much as it's an explanation of how many times he had let the Browns down, how many times the Browns in different iterations of the Browns, different quarterbacks, different coordinators, different GMs, different shit shows, had been let down by him. And John Dorsey thought he was doing the right thing, and the Browns and the NFL did the right thing last year in giving Josh Gordon one more chance. And John Dorsey, we can't say it was the right thing because this was the inevitable ending. But he thought in his heart of hearts that it was the right thing for the football team. And as soon as they had to have that discussion on Saturday morning, as we said, you just said last week in a screaming, accurate, hilarious rant that when you can't practice, doesn't matter who you are, you can't play. Right? You can't reach your potential as a team if you can't, no matter how good your pieces are at any level in any fucking sport, if at some time you can't put it together over 3 practices and 3 games and whatever and go from there. Right? So in the irony of ironies, he finally goes through a week of practice where you have him in the game plan. Whether he's the A guy, the B guy, or the C guy, whether he's the decoy or whether it's 20 design plays or it's all 80 plays, and then he can't be at the game. So they finally decided we're having our last discussion about Josh Gordon. And trust me, guys, I don't know if the Browns are going to win 3. I don't know if they're going to win 6. I don't know what they're going to look like a year from now. But the Cleveland Browns are better for on September 17th trading Josh Gordon than the Cleveland Browns have been in minimum 11 fucking years.
He ain't lying. And here's the other thing. Josh Gordon, it's already been put out there the time he missed a flight for the last game of the season when Johnny Manziel was here. We all know the story. if you've gone through what Josh Gordon has gone through, I don't care if you pulled a fingernail or if you pulled a hamstring. Would you ever want to let down? See, this is a difference in the mindset. And I know some people are going to hear this, and they're going to, like, I feel like the older generation is going to hear what I'm saying, and they're going to say, damn right, Andre. But I feel like the millennials are going to listen to me and say, oh, who cares? That doesn't matter. There's a way about respecting people that have been over backwards to help you. And I wish we would keep that respect and learn that respect and earn respect. If somebody goes out of their way to protect you and to keep you and to try to give you the air and oxygen you need to breathe, and the life you need to breathe, the money you need to breathe, to take care of the kids to take care of your kids. I'm not going to go out of line.
I take care of my kids.
You're supposed to. You. I don't even want to go. I don't even, because there's a lot of my. I don't have hate towards the kid, but a lot of the feelings I have are deeper than football. It's just other things I know about how he's handled certain things in his life that I don't respect. But my point is this: the Cleveland Browns bent over backwards for him and his family. And for him not to be mature enough at this point in time, through all the counselors he's gone to, through all the different Jim Brown conversations, through all the different people the NFL have sent his way, from all the different representation. You know it's bad when Drew Rosenhaus don't even want to represent you no more, okay? Just remember, I know this gets caught up in a Browns thing, but it ain't just the Browns. There's a lot of people that have tried to help this person. But when you keep shitting on the same person that keeps putting their hand out trying to help you, it tells me all I need to know about the character of the person. If I hurt my freaking hamstring working out at the Browns facility, I would have slept there and been there at 6 a.m. I'm waiting for them to say, hey, this is what's wrong with me. I practiced all week. Doc, do what you got to do. Get me on that plane. Get me there. Instead, he shows up 10, 15 minutes late. Good riddance. Goodbye. And the players don't get caught up in what players say to people like Zach Jackson and Mary Kay and Tony Grossi. It's not for a player to put a player down through the media. That ain't good either. But I'm telling you, for the most part, because I'm around athletes every day, they're like good riddance too. We finally are having some respect here. We're all playing on the same rules. Because I'm telling you, I've been around guys in training camps. The him not going to training camp thing, everybody wants him to be healthy. But the him not going to training camp thing and then starting on day one and playing no preseason games, that's just contagious, bruh. Like, Jarvis Landry's never going to tell you.
You fucking nailed that so right. Yes.
I mean, but when you hear what Jarvis Landry said on that TV show, on Hard Knocks, and then something like that happens, you know how much Jarvis Landry puts into it. And I'm not making him out to be some savior and wearing a T-shirt talking about bless him. But that dude basically yelled at everybody in their room. We got to practice to get better. And this dude just shows up. I don't care how talented you are. LeBron James was one of the most talented athletes of our generation. And the one thing you'll never question him upon is his work ethic and his ability to practice and play every single day. Your availability is more important than anything else. Good luck, New England Patriots. Tom Brady's going. You know it's coming, if he even gets a chance to play in a game. So we'll see. But I do, and I'm being serious, Zach. After watching the New Orleans game the way that I watched it, and going back and rewatching it, and knowing what I know from the Steelers game, and I can be real positive and act like I work on the Browns radio network and say they could be 2-0 if Zane Gonzalez with Zane Gonzalez. And I think that's partially true. But they have something to hang their hat on. I've constantly talked to you about having identity. Myles Garrett and that interior line is their identity right now. I never thought they could play defense that good against the New Orleans Saints without a guy that played every snap last year, and Christian Kirksey. And I'm not making Kirko to be a Hall of Famer. He's a solid NFL player, though, on a defense that needed him. I thought, and look, a tie you can't walk away from and take much from, a loss you can't take much from. If Hugh Jackson can keep it together and keep them believing, they're going to win some games. They should win Thursday. It's going to be tough, but he's got to keep them together. And I really believe their defense has shown me something. And the quarterback thing, and see, everybody's so quick to change the quarterback, change the coach. You finally might be at a time and stage where you have something that can grow and become something. Don't be so quick to hit that button is all I will tell everybody. Now, if they go out and they Browns it Thursday night, and we got to do a special podcast, and I got to play Adele to start it off, then all bets are off. Hello.
Well,
and I'm being serious.
All right, let's transition away then by this. For what it's worth, which is not much, I've never been more convinced that the Browns are going to win on Thursday night, right? And do I think ditching him helps the focus this week as you lock in on that? Sure, because track record, right? And I could go in on a long lecture on various levels and various sports, and certain guys are always going to get more chances, more leadway, more lenient punishments than other guys because they're bigger, faster, and higher ceilings than other guys, right? That's not just sports, that's life. Right. It shows up in sports. That's all life. Levels, all sports. Exactly. Go over this again. Certain guys, because their personalities are different, because when you have a locker room of 15 guys, 25 guys, 53 guys that come from different backgrounds and are different ages and are in different places in their life and have different money scales, you're always going to have clashes, and there's always going to be cats that stand out, that beat their own drum. And as long as they show up on Sunday or every fifth day to start or every night when they're in the 3-hole, right? That's all that matters, right? You work out your other shit. Either way, you ride the wave. Josh used that wave emoji, right? They had ridden so many fucking waves, guys. It crashed into the pier long ago, but they went for more rides. They just kept going for more rides, and it was time. It was time. So about Thursday, okay?
Well, let me say one thing before that. This is the last thing I'll say about Josh Gordon. You love an IG model more than a football player. He's an IG model.
That's all he's ever been.
And we've had discussions about and we've had conversations about Instagram models. And we usually talk about females.
On the air we did?
He's the male version. Sorry, Miss Jackson. Ooh, I am for real. I mean, he's an Instagram model. He's done more on Instagram than he's done on a football field in the last 6 years. And I still hear people ooh and ah about it.
The last time the Browns won a game with Josh Gordon in uniform was the weekend before Thanksgiving in 2014.
Good Lord. Good Lord. I barely had kids then.
Yeah, right. You were a kid then. Okay. About Thursday night.
Go ahead, Thursday night.
The Browns' defense is real, guys. You know, they're getting better like everybody else's. The offense is a work in progress. We knew the defense was going to be ahead. We knew the offense was going to have some limitations. They need to be able to run, I guess, if you're not even going to try to throw it down the field. And eventually you are going to have to try to throw it down the field. And I think Antonio Callaway getting that confidence the other day and showing that he's ready to be more than just a guy that comes on the field and the defense recognizes that he's on the field to either run a fly or an end around, that's huge. That's huge. Now you got to get it. You got to go do it. And this Jets defense is real too. We all saw them on that first Monday night game show up and just flat out embarrass the Lions. We know the teams are similar in their approaches. It's going to be a conservative approach. Don't ask the quarterback to do too much. Ask your defense to make big plays so your offense doesn't have to make a ton of them. It just sets up for the Browns. I'm not a huge believer in NFL home field advantage when tremendous weather events aren't involved, but on Thursday night I think it matters. I think the Jets playing 3 games in 10 days, 2 on the road, with a rookie QB and having a lot of things to deal with is a tremendous advantage for the Browns. I think the Browns knocking on the door and carrying this burden of not winning, of all this shit that's gone on, I think you will get a laser-focused effort combined with a good defensive game plan, and I think they'll jump on early. And although rightly so, you'll all have cold sweats through the night like you did in the fourth quarter the other day, knowing what was coming, I think they'll hang on. So I've been wrong before. And it's not going to be as easy as I probably just laid it out to be. But I think, guys, the Browns, there's steps to this, okay? And I think they are knocking on the door of NFL relevance, week in, week out competitiveness. I think they're there. You need the win to validate. Again, any sport, any level, I don't care if you're playing the Westlake JV or the Canadian All-Stars or the Denver Nuggets or the New York Jets. You need a win. You need that first win, right, to just say, here we go, we know how it feels great, and let's get on with the rest of the year. It's 100 times that for the Browns, who are in the National Football League and have not won a game since December 24th, 2016, right? It's 100 times that, but that's okay because they can knock out a lot of demons, Dre. They can feed people a lot of free Bud Lights, and they can move on and say we are free of that. What stupid lake jumps couldn't do, what an off-season of bullshit tweets and quotes couldn't do, what driving the off-season hype train and hyping up the return of Josh Gordon and all the other shit couldn't do, you can do with a win, and I think we're going to see it happen.
It's really simple, isn't it? But you're right. Just winning on a Sunday or Thursday night changes so much of the narrative, no matter how hard you try the narrative and all the other ways you just described. I think every team knows it. The Indians do a great job with their social media, but you know why the social media really works? Team wins 90 games a year. You win 50 games a year, nobody cares. And the joke becomes on you, and I think that's social media for any team. And I think the creativity of it is great. It's great to have young people that can do things like that, but be careful, tread lightly, because what happens on the field is more important than what, quirky thing you can say or put out there. The other thing about Thursday night, you talk about home field, the advantage or lack of advantage. I think Thursday night games, unless you are a veteran team where like 9 of your 11 starters have played together for 2-3 years, and that really don't happen nowhere. When you got to go on the road on a Thursday night, that means you really don't practice. Monday you can't practice because you just played Sunday. Tuesday is a walkthrough, and Wednesday you're flying. So you basically do 2 walkthroughs. And to have a rookie quarterback like the Jets do, to have to travel and to play that Monday night game and just everything they've been through, the NFL helped the Browns out about as good as they could to be on Thursday night.
Oh, this is the ultimate gift. This is the ultimate scheduling gift. There's no doubt about it. And that makes it more important.
It really is.
That you got to cash in. Yes.
For sure.
Let's just talk football impressions now. We've been through 2 weeks of the NFL, which means 3 weeks of college. We're back in football watching mode, and I know you're finding a way in the dugout, in the clubhouse, on the bus rides, whatever, to do it. I still haven't had a full college football watching Saturday because of whatever has gone on, but it's back. And I just want to say this, guys. We didn't even do this at the beginning of the thing. We appreciate the hell out of you guys listening to this podcast, of hitting us up via various ways and saying can't wait for the next podcast, of helping it grow, of supporting American Fireworks, of buying the T-shirts, of whatever. And we know you're passionate, and we all enjoy it. And I think the emergence of Twitter over the last X number of years has allowed the experience. If you're a dork and you want all 22 cut-ups, it's out there, right? If you want to find other fans that just bleed your team's colors and unite with them and talk and sweat and argue and make jokes, you can do that. You can follow games. You can follow teams. It's easier to follow your rival teams, your favorite player from college, kid who went to your high school. It's easier than ever, right? And like I said before, we all have ideas, and we all think we know personnel. We have whatever. Sometimes we're right. I'm almost always right, but not always. Some people think they're always right. Just that there's a fine line, guys, and I don't even know why I'm wasting my time saying this, other than to say I've been guilty of dumb tweets. I've been guilty of Twitter arguments, all this shit too. But take the fucking hate out of it, for God's sake. Step back, right? It's okay if someone has a bad opinion or botches a stat that they share, right? It's okay. It's okay if you're on the wrong side of the Tyrod Taylor Baker Mayfield argument. I don't mean wrong side. I mean if Joe Schmo on Twitter is on the other side of you, because there isn't a right or wrong side right now, right? It's just rather ridiculous. And like I said, this includes me. We all need to check ourselves, and it's really not worth being a dipshit, from personal experience and from personal observation.
Good ball. No, you're right. Greatest thing about football season being here is it's football season, and I haven't been able to do a real Saturday yet either, and I probably won't truly be able to until 2 weeks from now, once the regular season of baseball is over. But a couple things that stand out to me. Cleveland fans, stop getting giddy about what's going on with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Excuse me. Whatever's going on with Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell, I know on the outside it looks like a dumpster fire. But that organization has a backbone unlike many others. I think sometimes they have dealt with, and this is just my opinion, and everybody doesn't have to agree. I'm not a Steelers fan. I got a lot of friends that are, unfortunately, but I think when you live in Northeast Ohio, this is part of the deal, right?
Yeah.
They have a way of overcoming a lot of the BS that a lot of other organizations don't. They've dealt with Ben Roethlisberger for, 13, 14 seasons. Drama's always around him. Sometimes, and I've heard players on this team and people that cover them say, sometimes Ben needs the controversy or the drama to play better. I never buy into that, but if you just look at his history, I just have a feeling we'll look back at September and chuckle because the Steelers are still going to probably have 9-10 wins in December. I just feel that way. Now, one year maybe that doesn't happen, but I laugh at the straight happiness people in Cleveland and other cities take from what's going on with the Steelers. Let the Steelers be the Steelers. Worry about your own team.
Well, I just talked to my brother who lives over there, and he said the sky is falling over here. He said it is. People have lost their minds. But that's the standard that's set over there.
But that's exactly. And you know as I know, at some point in time, they'll bunker down, and they'll go out, and they'll do what they have to do. Look, every time they change offensive coordinators, either AB doesn't like him or Roethlisberger doesn't like him. The reason Haley had to go is because Roethlisberger hated him. This is the Pittsburgh Steelers. The problem they really have that nobody's talking about, they can't stop nobody. The Shazier injury has changed the Pittsburgh Steelers. They did the right thing in giving him his money. It's awesome to see him not giving up on life and being around the team and things of that nature. But, man, the impact one man had on that defense is unbelievable. Zach, they can't cover tight ends. They can't cover slots. Now, and I'm going to get to the Chiefs because the Chiefs are a big part of where we're at right now. Because the Chiefs, to me, the best thing the Browns have going is seeing the explosion of the Kansas City Chiefs offense. Why? The guy that helped draft or was a part of the draft, put all those pieces in place for Kansas City, walks around with a Cleveland Browns sweatshirt on every day, calling everybody buddy boy. He put some talent together on that field. Now, Andy Reid has done what Andy Reid has done, and every time we've seen Andy Reid, when he's got the type of quarterback he likes, right? He did this in Philadelphia where he had Brian Mitchell. Not Brian Mitchell. Brian Mitchell but he did have Brian Mitchell at one time.
Yeah, he did.
Who was the little running back that he did have? I can't think. Westbrook.
Yeah.
I see a lot of Westbrook. They had Donovan McNabb. They had a ton of different receivers. They had tight ends. He's doing it again. But the players were drafted or helped drafted by the guy that's here. I don't know if Mayfield can be Patrick Mahomes. I don't know if
I know he can't, but go ahead.
Kelsey. I know. Well, you're one person, and you're the only person I would say this to. I'm not saying I knew Patrick Mahomes was going to do what he's done, but I think I told you over a year and a half ago that was the guy I would have drafted a year ago because I thought he had the best potential because of the arm strength. And the one story that I knew, he grew up in Major League Baseball locker rooms. I think that's a big deal. He knows how to be a pro. And everybody around that Chiefs team, and even talking to Travis Kelce a couple weeks ago when the Indians were there, he was like, he's never been like a rookie. He knew what it was like to be in clubhouses, to be in locker rooms, to work. Alex Smith, he goes out of his way to talk about how great Alex Smith was for him last year. Nothing seems too big for him right now. And look, he's not going to throw 10 touchdowns every 2 weeks. He's going to throw interceptions. Teams are going to defend them differently. Teams are going to take the safety out of the box. They're going to do different stuff. They're going to try to take, they're going to let him run Hunt. And I don't know if Hunt can play 16 games and be a 300-carry guy with his size. But, man, what an introduction to the NFL Patrick Mahomes has had. I mean, it's been phenomenal, right?
Wow. Yeah. It's record-setting. It really is. It really is.
Right.
Let me say this. Then I'm going to throw this back to you on this. One thing. Guys, when it comes to rest, keeping the quarterback waiting and all that, Baker Mayfield is Baker Mayfield. He's not Aaron Rodgers. He's not Carson Wentz. He's not Jared Goff. He's not Josh Allen. The list goes on and on of guys, Joe Flacco, that had to play early or were supposed to play early or whatever. Most especially, he's not Patrick Mahomes. So although Patrick Mahomes undoubtedly benefited from sitting and waiting and learning from Alex Smith and being with a professional organization, he had to. He played, he was as green a 21-year-old as there was, played in the most wide-open college offense. That was necessary for him. And he is a once-in-a-decade physical talent. Baker Mayfield is a guy that you drafted for his head and his composure and his character and his accuracy, not for his once-in-a-decade physical talent. So we'll talk on that more.
Point.
Two, Dre, and again, I'm not trying to stir this up because I think you made a great point that if the Browns do take the L Thursday, then all bets are off on Friday on what's discussed and what's on the table, internally and externally, right? But earlier when we were discussing the Browns, you made a valid point about if you see a team building, tap the freaking brakes on the blowing it up and think about what keeping your quarterback and head coach could do. However, A, your quarterback and your head coach are your ceiling, and B, in this case, we don't know what's going to happen with Hugh Jackson, but we know that Tyrod is not the quarterback for long. So does that change
your ceiling is your
any of your thinking going forward?
Good point. I like having this conversation because we can have it sensible and we don't have to yell and scream about it. Your ceiling is your roof. Thank you, Michael Jordan, for that great. And you're right. The roof of the Cleveland, the ceiling, roof, however you want to look at it, for the Cleveland Browns is Hugh Jackson and the quarterback. I think at some point in time, the Browns. All right, look, they didn't hit the panic button 15 times in a row in Josh Gordon, right? They showed more patience than we've ever seen for any professional organization in that situation. You may want to try that with your head coach and quarterback. I'd rather them be a week late, and I continue saying this. I'd rather them be a week late on getting Baker Mayfield on the field, and I'd rather and they're two separate things for me, but I understand why they aren't to everyone else. It's okay for me if Baker Mayfield was ready in week 6 and you play him in week 7 or 8. I don't see the difference. You're not going to the playoffs, and one game is not going to change his career. If you really are truly a Browns honk and you want him to work, do you think if he's your quarterback for 6 years, you're going to be pissed about 1 week? No. The head coaching thing, to me, they have not lost in the first 2 weeks because of the head coach. That's just my opinion. I don't think he's a great head coach. I don't think he's going to be here probably next year. I know there's a ton of deficiencies against him, but stop the madness. Just because they didn't try to win for 2 years, they didn't give him talent to win. He's not a great coach. He's not the best coach. He's probably average at best. But just hitting that button of, fire the coach you lost, doesn't make sense. Because if they do lose Thursday, you're basically only firing him for what happens on Thursday. I mean, the way they came back against the Steelers in week 1, we all were ready to leave Brown Stadium. We were all making jokes. It was over. It was 21-7. Tell me what you want. You can feel how you want. And I know Zach doesn't agree completely. Or if a coach didn't have something about him, that team with the Cleveland Browns rolls over in week 1. If they didn't give a fuck about the coach. We've seen it.
No, I do agree.
We've all been there. We've seen that. And even last week in New Orleans, when your kicker continues to miss kicks and you continue to shoot yourself in the foot and you get that terrible turnover by your quarterback in the fourth quarter and everything's rolling for New Orleans. What they did in their last 2 drives shows me a team that hasn't quit on their coach. And I'm sorry if that doesn't fit your narrative and fits the narrative of screw Hugh Jackson and give it to someone else. But I'm just being honest with what I see. They didn't roll over and quit in those last 2 games. To me, no matter what you think of Hugh Jackson, that isn't a coach that you just fire and throw away. And I can say this. I remember, because this reminds me a lot of Romeo Crennel. Romeo Crennel is one of the best people I've ever dealt with in my entire life. Not the best head coach I've ever been around, but one of the best assistant coaches probably in NFL's history. The Browns jumped the ship probably a year too early in firing him. Why? In my opinion, they had that big year, and then all hell broke loose because everybody got money in 2008, and it went to shit. But the players respected Romeo. They respected his work ethic. They respected what he wanted out of them. And we all know that was the best things have been, basically, for the Browns since. And we're talking a decade ago. Be careful on pulling the trigger too quick is all I'm saying. When it's time for Hugh Jackson to go, it will be as plain as day for all of us.
Amen. Amen. It almost always is. It almost always is. So we didn't do it at the top. We'll do it now, and this isn't the end, so don't turn us off yet. A to Z Podcast.com, Facebook.com/A to Z Podcast. Shout out to Scene, to the Honeymoon Grill on Manchester Road and Portage Lakes Drive, and to American Fireworks, AmericanFireworks.com. A to Z Podcast.com/shop is where you can get a t-shirt, and we are at Akron Jackson, at Dre Knott on Twitter and on Instagram. We appreciate all the love, the feedback that we get. We appreciate you helping to continue this thing to grow. Before we do the baseball minute, Dre, it's the week of the biggest party in Akron. It's the Hope and St. V game. You won't be able to be there, obviously, because of your job. We were going many, many years ago with our friends and family and girlfriends and whatever, and it's always been an awesome thing. Both teams are good this year. It if you're from Akron, it's a small place, so you have some sort of tie, if you're any tied to football, to somebody that went to the schools, whose kid plays, whose buddy coaches, all that stuff. So I just want to read you the first 2 lines of the email I got from my crew that I go to the game with every year and tailgate with. Okay, and this is from the devil who named the A to Z podcast before it was A to Z podcast was a thing. Here, I'm just going to read you the first 2 lines. Okay.
This is going to be the best thing of the podcast. Go ahead.
Hello, fellow Christians. It is that time of year again, the night during which Akron's finest Catholic institutions will do battle on the football field. And I'll leave it at that. I'll forward you the rest.
Yeah, forward me the rest. I love the devil. He truly is the devil. And how he got a St. Me girl is beyond me. But hoping people say that about me. Here's how you got to know about the Akron Holy War Week and how it started in the Knott family. My dad came to our house Sunday morning. My dad shows up in a St. V t-shirt, St. V hat. He sits down next to AJ and Isabella and says, "Guys, what time we going to the game to root for St. V on Friday?" My wife was cooking breakfast. She turned and looked at him and said, "Do you want to die today or do you want to die later on in this week?" That's how the Holy War starts in my household, with my wife threatening my dad on how she's going to make his eggs for breakfast as my dad hyped up my son and daughter to start saying, "Go St. V. Go St. V."
Tell your dad to hit me up. I'll give him St. V plus 24 all day long.
He knows better. Trust me.
All right.
He
baseball
knows better,
minute.
but he plans on having a family there.
We're inching closer and closer to the games that are going to matter. So fill us in on where the Indians are.
Yep. Hey, man, they've clinched. I didn't lose my contacts this year. Hey, shout out to our man Pete in Painesville. I made it out there to watch the Ohio State game. Let's try to do another one tomorrow or Thursday. You got the game, because I want to talk about the Ohio State situation, but I'm out of time to do it the right way right now. I enjoyed that game thoroughly.
It'll be here next week. They play Tulane this week. Yeah,
true.
Yeah,
that's true. Northeast Ohio, way to show up and really help the Buckeyes. I think they got some special qualities. But back to what you're saying, the baseball minute. We're going to do something special in the next couple of weeks on the baseball minute. Shout out to Corey Kluber and the Corey Kluber Foundation. Corey and Amanda Kluber, his wife, had me MC their first foundation event last night over at the 9. It was a very cool event. It doesn't have to do with baseball, but it has to do with baseball. Over 25 of his teammates showed up on an off day with their wives or girlfriends last night, dressed up, made a ton of money for his organization, for his fundraiser, to give back to kids that are ill and have cancer and things of that nature. We don't do this often, but kudos to Corey and Amanda for what they've done. They almost got me to cry on stage with some of the stories that were told. But I tell that story because Terry Francona showed up, Sandy Alomar showed up, Francisco Lindor showed up, Jan Gomes. Like I said, over 25 guys showed up. There's not that many. That's basically the whole roster showed up last night.
Show up and show out.
Guys that are Latin, show up and show out. I mention this because I've been around pro sports for a decent amount of time. I've been around sports my whole life. Pro sports teams, on their day off, no matter how much they like you or how much they don't like you, usually it's hard to get the whole team to show up to any function, right? If they're not getting paid,
sure.
I think it says a lot about what I think it's the Dolans. The Dolans showed up. It was just a very cool event and how down to earth so many of the players were, and their willingness to give up one of their. And I'm just telling you guys, all you dads out there, all you wives that listen to our podcast, all you normal guys, and I don't like putting this out there because it sounds like we're crying. I got a great career. I got a great job. These players have great careers, great jobs. We only get 10 to 11 off days from April till October. So it's hard for us just to give one of those up and be around the team again. The whole team showed up. That, to me, was one of the best signs about where this team is at. They actually like each other. They actually care about each other. And really, over these next 2 weeks, the big story is how can they is Josh Donaldson, who's back in the lineup today, getting him right. And I'm starting to like Josh. He's a little bit different character. I might try to get him on the podcast just because he's crazy as shit. He might work. And the other crazy as shit person is Trevor Bauer, who I'm getting ready to walk in and talk to right now, who's throwing against batters today. I know there's some rumors out there that he may go to the bullpen. I'm not totally against that. I've had a conversation with him about that. But knowing Trevor, he wants to start still. But I think that's really over the next 2 weeks, those are the stories, Zach. How quickly can you get Trevor Bauer back? I think before this homestand is over, he has told me he plans on pitching. Homestand is over on Sunday. You guys do the math. It's Tuesday. Then he wants to pitch twice on the road trip, and the road trip's 7 games. So you guys do the math, and you figure out where this may be going. If they have them healthy and they can get Andrew Miller to keep going the way they're going, hey, they're going to face the Astros, who are playing great baseball. They played great baseball over the last 2 months. But we all know the last 2 months of the season aren't the same as the first month of the playoffs.
Amen. And kudos to the Indians for coming out with their wives, girlfriends, and other people's girlfriends. That was really cool. I'm sorry, I had to get that.
It was one of those. It was one of those. See, you worked for the Browns a long time, like I did. This was an event where you had to bring your actual wife to go, not the other.
Hey, to circle back, Trevor Bauer, he's a different cat, right? He'd acknowledge that.
No doubt.
There's been times in his career he's been a pain in the ass, right? No doubt. However,
no doubt.
There's only one time, this one he cut his finger, that he actually wasn't there for the team when his number was called, right?
Exactly.
And so to sum up the other guy that everybody celebrated with the lightning bolts and the victory parades over and over again, you need to be able to count on people. You do. And if you don't,
accountability, boys and girls.
The story tells itself. Friday, Dre, let's make time one way or the other, or maybe Saturday morning.
You got it. Accountability, boys and girls. That's what life is about. Whether you catch a football, whether you're the smartest guy on the team, whether you're the smartest guy in IT, your accountability is more important than all that other shit people have been telling you your whole entire life.
Hey, folks.
I got a quick story I want to tell you.
Okay.
No, go ahead. I
was just going to say, Thursday night, enjoy the hell out of it. Because if they don't win,
absolutely,
forget the Bud Light and all that stuff. If they don't win, you're not going to get another national TV game at home for years. so
right,
enjoy it, take an Uber, soak it up, scream your ass off, and have fun.
If crazy shit happens, I'll meet you at the studio, or meet me in my backyard.
Yeah, I mean, shit, we could be at 2 a.m. Thursday, right in your backyard. My God.
Absolutely. It's contagious, bro. It's contagious. Have fun. No, he's right, though. Have fun Thursday night. Kick ass to the national media and show them that Cleveland is a kick-ass place. This is the time to celebrate. I think that this is a game they should win. They play with the same way that they've played so far. They should win this game. And I'm watching right now Trevor Bauer throw the hitters. So I'll do that and continue doing that, and hopefully we can have a good weekend.
You got what's your story?
You already stopped recording?
No.
No, then I can't tell you.
Oh, okay. All right, I'm going to tell a story.
I got a story. Go ahead, you tell me, yeah.
Oh, okay. I love how you just slid that in. All right. So I've mentioned this on the podcast before, but I haven't told the whole story. So I got a friend. He's got some kids, and his youngest friend, his name is Mikey. Okay? And Mikey is one of the smartest kids you know, and he's one of the biggest sports fans, since the time he was 2. Right, he's been raised around bouncing balls and flying bats and all sorts of stuff, and it's the only thing he's ever loved is to talk about sports, right? So we come to the 2016 season, and Mikey's in kindergarten, so he's old enough to have some sort of grasp on what's really going on, other than just the game being on at the time, right? And where Mikey and his family live, there's a Dairy Queen, pretty close. Not walking distance because a mildly busy road is involved, but that close, right? So the season comes, and Mikey's got his brown and orange on, and he's got his face paint on, and he's got his helmet, and he's got his whole deal, and he's pumped. And Mikey's mom and dad tell him, when the Browns win, every time the Browns win, we're going to get you a milkshake at Dairy Queen after the game's over. So now Mikey is double pumped. And for 14 Sundays, Mikey sweats and cringes and screams and bites his nails and cries because he doesn't get a milkshake. And finally, in Week 16 of 2016, the Cleveland Browns win, but it's Christmas Eve, so Mikey doesn't get a milkshake. So 2017 rolls around, and Mikey's parents make him the same deal. When the Browns win, buddy, you're going to get your Dairy Queen milkshake, any flavor you want. And so for 16 Sundays, Mikey, in his brown and orange, in his eye black, in his helmet, in his football, in his cleats, cries and screams and cries and doesn't get a milkshake. And last Sunday, with the Browns leading by 9 points, In the third quarter, Mikey's dad, in one of the all-time parenting dumbass maneuvers, sends me a text and says Mikey's going to get his milkshake, and sends me a picture of Mikey wearing receiver's gloves, standing 3 feet from the television. He's in second grade now, with his fists clenched, rooting his Browns on to victory. He can taste his fucking peanut butter milkshake. The Browns lose at the buzzer. There is no milkshake for Mikey. Friday, 5 o'clock. Mikey is getting his milkshake. We'll see you next time on A to Z.
Mike.